Punters, g'day. Welcome to the Sydney Review Show. Epsom Day there at Randwick on Saturday. The track was officially a good 4, but some of the times probably don't reflect that. Mark Shean, I'll start with you. How did the day pan out for yourself? And then secondly, what did you think of the day overall as a spectacle? How did Epsom Day feel on course?
Well, it's a bit more subdued now with the crowd numbers down. There's not as many lunatics screaming out in the feeding ring, I've got to say. It's a bit more sedate. Punting was a lot of seconds and thirds. The 2-year-old saved me, luckily. So, but it could have been a lot better. I've hit the front or nearly got there in a couple of races. But anyway, we live to fight another day.
Absolutely.
Track rating too, I think, is. How can you run those times and still have the track rated as a dead 4 is just beyond me.
Yep. Mark Rhoden, I'll get your thoughts on the track, but also Rails and Run wasn't the place to be either. Only Mirage Dancer was Rails and Run and managed to salute on the day.
Yeah, and that's going to be of less consequence in a 2,400 metre race than a 1,400 or 1,200 metre race as well. Yeah, certainly hard to lead. One of the 2-year-olds led and won, but it was the only one, I think. And Rails and Run, not the place to be with that northeasterly.
Rob Scurry, you go from strength to strength. You're now in Newcastle for a few days, just enjoying the good life. Well done, mate. On another winning set.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I've seen them pretty well. I think I said this is one of my favourite meetings of the year. I love having the first look at the 2-year-olds. Kind of got hot in the middle of the day. Then, old Dame Giselle I went into a lull and, came home all right. So, good day.
Okay, well, we'll start with race 2, the Gym Crack for the 2-year-old fillies, 1,000-metre race. They've gone even in terms of the overall speed for the class. They've gone 1 length faster to 600. Rob, I'll start with you. You're pretty bullish on this horse, Anthar. Just run us through what it looked like and compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, look, he just looks an absolute class above. It looked like an early spring 3-year-old compared to these. So it was just almost seemed like a hand bigger, wider. What else can I say? It's just, I think I even said, this could be a golden slipper horse on the text. And not like me. I dived into a dollar. I couldn't believe it. The SP was $1.83. I thought that was great. When I did the results, I thought, this is going to be $1.60, but no, $1.83. And I was a little bit peeved that Authentic Jewel was as weak as water, tracking it into the race in the right spot. I only had to run third for me, but he ran fourth. Yeah, there is a horse to follow out of the race. One of the first I crossed off was the second horse, Mallory. I thought it looked underdone, woolly in the coat. Couldn't have it. Thought it'd be 100 to 1, and it's run home very well, and it's probably a horse to follow out of the race.
Mark Shean, what are we doing with this with the 2-year-old fillies here? How far can Anthar go this season?
Well, she'd run the best sectionals at the official trials by a fair way and under a stranglehold, so she looked to have them covered. And I've got to say, on type, many of the fillies at the trials were not very outstanding types. She probably did stand out. So she's run outstanding time. I think she nearly broke the race record there. Long way to go yet, but she does look pretty good.
Yep. Mark Rhoden, any thoughts out of the 2-year-old fillies race?
I'm not as big on the 2-year-olds as the other members of the panel here, but I will say this is just seeing her on TV, this is a kind of 2-year-old they're going to really make hay with while the sun shines. Looks to be far more physically advanced than her rivals, so by the autumn they probably won't have caught up to her, but by their 3-year-old season it might be a different story. So I'm sure they'll be trying to get what they can out of her while they can.
Okay, very good. Race 3 was the Breeders' Plate over the 1,000 for the Colts and Geldings. They've gone slower. In this event, they've gone to the 600, 3 lengths slow for the class. And Shakiro, if that's how we're pronouncing it, as you alluded to, Mark Rhoden, it was one of the only horses to settle on speed and get the job done on the day. Rob Scurry, just run us through the 2-year-old Colts and Geldings here.
I thought he was a typical Waller parade, so maybe slightly underdone, but looked the best type to me. And yeah, I was happy enough to send it out on top with a bit of a play. I was sort of gambling a little bit. It's obviously they're all unraced, but you know, it's what I'm hoped here to do is to sort of back my eye with these younger horses. I was worried about and the other reason I thought it was a good bet was I thought it was going to be down the outside, and that the Hawks runners were drawn in Astrologer and Construct. I think one of the two was winning in the yard, which I don't really like. I like a bit more focused and relaxed than that. I thought maybe it was a little bit disappointing. Kalishnikov, he looked like a professional 2-year-old, a bit soft, but you know, so was the winner. So he went out second. I didn't mind the Gary Portelli horse here as well. He showed a bit of speed in Retiro, but kind of gave up a little bit, but not beaten too far. So maybe he can go back and grade. Other than that, yeah, not much really here for me.
Mark Shean, did the trials line up for the Colts and Geldings going to race day?
Yeah, well, all the colts that trialled in Sydney, the Colts and Geldings were pushed right out, whereas Shakiro at the Gold Coast, he had a very easy trial there. He sat outside the lead and looked to have a bit in reserve. So there was always a question mark coming down here. And then, as Rob said, he paraded beautifully in the yard before the race. Kalishnikov, he was forced to race wide after finding the lead on the rail in a very slow early section in that barrier trial. So he was a little bit vulnerable where he ended up drawing in that race. I was on first and second, luckily. Construct a very nice horse, was dragged right back in his trial and just over-raced a little bit in the middle stages and over the concluding stages. So probably one to follow as well, but I think the winner's the best horse out of the race for sure.
Mark Rhoden, anything for your ratings going forward from this race?
Nothing special, just that, you know, the times probably tell the story. Phillies division better than the Colts, and you know, probably tack it a little bit on to the winner for being the only leader on the day to win. Although he was off fence, he wasn't leading on the rail. So I just think I'll just play it as it lies, as the what the times and sectionals tell me out of these two divisions. Yeah,
I think the win did pick up after or sort of mid through the meeting. I think it was fairly benign in the early stages of the day, so I think he was probably able to get away with it there. But the win definitely did pick up to my eye, you know, in the closing stages of the day.
I was actually going to ask about that to you guys who are actually there, because if you just take it on face value, Lormy Inns run far too close to Probabeel in their overall times, you know, the benchmark 88 versus the Epsom. So I'm not surprised to hear that, to be honest.
Basically the same time. We will get to the Epsom in a little while, but yeah, basically the same time between race one and the feature race. We'll go to the Hill Stakes over 2,000 metres. Very slow for the class, 5.5 lengths slow to the 600. I mean, look, Fierce Impact got itself into an awful spot. Colding, again, just found himself in the right spot, I guess, but Avilius also performed a bit better than what he had done previously. Rob, did you find anything that really took your eye here, and looking towards the next coming weeks, any of the horses that you want to follow?
I thought the fourth horse, the Doos Dart, is still got plenty of condition in the you know, typical Hawks manner. So I think it can certainly improve off this. It's probably a bit outgraded here. Colding to me stood out. Even, you know, I love Avilius, the look of him, but I even sent Colding out on top of Avilius for, you know, and I did have a little mental health bet on Avilius just in case. You know, so the horse is obviously not tracking too badly. Blinkers has done something, or because I thought maybe, you know, they shouldn't be running him on this good 3 track, is you know, he's such a valuable, good horse. But yeah, Colding is the best I've seen in this prep. It was a really easy watch. Found that fourth spot. You know, the favourite was in all sorts of trouble, going backwards and wide. So yeah, I was just sort of half cursing. I didn't send out more units.
Mark Shean, are you following any of these horses going forward? Could you make any excuses for the beaten brigade?
Yeah, Fierce Impact a bit wide early and then got back in a slowly run race, but I thought he should have been able to run Avilius down. I've got to say, the Doos Dart still, as Rob has mentioned, doesn't look quite trimmed down as yet, so I'm not sure where he'll be headed to. He might stay here for the Tats Cup or go to Melbourne for the longer races there. So once he gets in a handicap over a bit more ground, I think he'll certainly be competitive.
Yeah. Mark Rhoden, did you end up having the play on Fierce Impact?
Yeah, I did, and I was not on good terms with myself after that 400 or 500 metres. It was a bit of a nothing. I'm not going to say anything against Natural Ruler after what he did for me on Mirage Dance later in the day, but it was a bit of a nothing ride. He didn't have any plan. He just popped out of the gates and was going to see what happens, and what happened. He was 4 lengths behind Colding. They were walking. He was over racing. He wasn't going to get there. Yeah, probably nothing flash in the straight, not being able to get past the Villiers. But the other thing to note here is that there are only 3 horses with any pretensions to being weight for age standard in this race. They've run 1, 2, 3 and beaten the others by 4 lengths. That's just you don't get many races like that where there's just such a gulf in quality between a handful of them and the rest. So the only thing to really take out of that is you've got a horse like Just Thinking, who was probably unsuited anyway, but it's going around at $9 when it really should be just totally out of the market.
Yep. Race 5 is a flight stakes over the mile for the 3-year-old fillies. Montefilia has saluted just over Hungry Heart, who looked for all money like it was home and then seemingly stopped very late. But they've gone very fast here for the class, 7 lengths fast to the 600. Rob, you've been a big push for Dame Giselle or Prep. Just run us through what you thought between her and Hungry Heart.
Oh, I thought Dame Giselle is the better type. Parades really professionally again. She looked exactly like she did at the start before. Not quite at top as I described. But I knew she was cooked after 100 metres over racing in the box seat. It was a horrible watch being on her. Montefilia is more of a staying frame. I thought maybe not this time, maybe sort of the Wakeful, but yeah, she's done well. And this Hungry Heart is an overrated 3-year-old filly. If ever there was one, boom, bust. Frankel out of Frankel, yada yada yada. No, it's no good. No, maybe it's not no good, but you know what I mean. Like it should have won here. Every possible.
Mark Rhoden, you gave the push to Montefilia on the previous show. Did you follow through, and then what did you think during the run as well?
I did, but like every punt over the last 2,000 years, I haven't had enough on it, and I've had too much on the losers during the day. But I sort of since we spoke on Thursday, I sort of reassessed Hungry Heart, put it on top. So that just pushed Montefilia out a bit in my market. I ended up speccing it, and that was the only bet I had in the race. So that's good. I wasn't sure she was going to get there. I thought she was going to just fall agonisingly short, but she, as Rob pointed out, she's going to be better over further, and she's done probably suited by certain of the conditions there on Saturday, but she's done a good job to overhaul Hungry Heart, because I think most people was home,
Mark Shean, proper tempo in this event. What are your thoughts on Hungry Heart going forward?
Well, as the boys have said, she's had a chance here. She was in a perfect spot. She had nothing boxing her in. She was there to win and didn't get the job done. I think McDonald commented after the race that maybe it needs blinkers or winkers or something to get her a bit focused. But you couldn't take anything away from the winner there, although the pace was put on, as Mark said. They went a lot quicker than I thought they would. I completely got the pace of this race wrong. I thought there might be a little bit of speed, but not to the extent that they were going out in about 34.5 for the first 3 furlongs of the race. I think Vangelic has stuck on really well after absorbing a lot of pressure early, and I don't know what the ride of Mirabale was there. Was very flat, winning at Warwick Farm up outside the speed, and then went terrific ridden back, and they elected to hunt the brains out of it to go up outside the lead. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
She's a nice type, Mirabale. I thought really improved this time in. This race, and I think she's half worth following.
Yeah, you wouldn't sack her on that. I mean, my view of her was that she's probably an Oaks type, 2,000 at least for her, from what I've seen, and then just ridden totally upside down the other day,
We'll move to race 6, which was the Premier Stakes over 1,200. Libertini back to its absolute best here on what was an even speed. It basically gone completely even to the 600. Rob, it's probably going to be one of those races going forward where we're talking about Nature Strip, can it improve, Classique Legend, and then your thoughts on Libertini as well.
Oh, look, she was about the first one I knocked off in the yard, sweating up in places that I didn't like. Seemed it seemed a little bit so it's got me spooked this race. I've fallen into Nature Strip. I thought he improved in the coat, but he's going to improve again. So Mark's 3-1. He's going to get his 3-1, and he's going to be absolutely cherry ripe from the yard when it comes to the Everest. Classique Legend trimmed down, paraded really, really well, but somehow they knew that Nature Strip was not going to run well. Maybe it was the leading thing with on the inside. It was a bit of a map thing, but Classique Legend did it tough, obviously. Most of them paraded really well. These are really quality horses. I guess some will go up in grade, some will go down and back in grade. But I don't know what to do with Libertine. If she parades better, then she's got to be a show in the big show.
Mark Shean, what are you doing with Nature Strip out of this race? Could you make any excuses for him in the run?
I was against him on Saturday, but I didn't find the winner. The only thing, looking at his form, that his best runs in Sydney had been on affected tracks. I think 2 wins on slow to heavy and 1 on a dead 5. So that's the only thing I could think of. Another run on a good track in the Everest where he ran 4th. So, but I was on Classique Legend here. He just got in a dreadful spot, and Libertini was there to win. As Rob said, she sweated up before the race. I saw her at the trials there. They trialled before the official trials, and she looked very similar. She was sweating there. She ran a great section, 32.8 for a last 3. So she actually had the form on the board and a dry track, back on a dry track, but very similar to Rob. The parade sort of turned me off her a little bit. So obviously she's still got improvement to come, you would think.
Mark Rhoden, you're going to get your price in the mountain race. Are you going to find a way of following Nature Strip to your theory?
Oh, there's no way I can get away from backing him at all. I'll just shut my eyes, back him. I mean, you can get $8 at the moment. Just back him. Yeah. He'll win or he'll lose. I'll get on with my life either way, but I'll be on him for sure. I think the horse I'm going to want to be on in the big one is Guitra. Certainly take the point back. Classique Legend had a just shocking run in transit on Saturday. Now, Libertini has had the better run, smashed the clock, but that's a first up peak. And we saw last week, she's going to be shorter than Nature Strip. Not going to be a bet for me, I don't think, under any circumstances. Despite the fact she may physically appear to improve, I mean, that to go to a level like that, especially if she's not fully wound up, to run that well and that fast first up, I would expect would take some physical toll, and I would expect her to come off second up for sure. So, heading towards the mountain race, as you put it, bet blind, Nature Strip, and probably Guitra as well.
Libertini has returned just with basically an equal, just off her peak, but equal to what she did 2 preparations ago. Last prep, she was about 8 lengths inferior, so there was clearly something there last prep that isn't there this prep. We'll go to the Epsom Group 1 mile race. It's won by Probabeel. They've gone very fast to the class, 5.5 lengths fast to the 600. Rob, I will start with you. Just run us through some of the key chances here and what you ended up siding with, which was no bet.
Yeah, I think I was just a bit. I sent Probabeel out on top. She looked like she'd improved from the previous run, which we had a big play on. I did say after the race she probably should be favourite for the Epsom, and then she paraded outstanding. And then I've got Kieran's right in my head from the previous race, and I've got he's got barrier 18. There's like 20 horses walking around. They barely fit in the mounting yard, and so my eyes are darting everywhere. So by the end I'm just like just no bet. But she looked great. I thought Funstar paraded as best she has. I think I made that comment. Colette seemed to improve. Rock was well, while Planet was in the numbers. Even I thought Glenelle looked as best as I'd seen her, so I even mentioned her. But just a bit dark that I'm not on Probabeel Hill. She's been my horse all prep, and I backed her against Funstar. Backed her first up as a 2-year-old. So I'm just a little bit dark, and that's it. It's probably last time she can get in a handicap with that sort of weight. Or will be.
Mark Shean, busy race, heaps going on. What have you found in the review so far?
I thought Colette wasn't too bad, actually. Still at a distance that doesn't suit her. I thought she hit the line quite well. She's probably crying out for a bit of sting out of the track and a little bit further. So I think she'll probably head to Melbourne very shortly, and we'll try and pick off some of those 2,000 metre mares races, which are worth a lot of money, those group races. So I think she's being aimed more at the Melbourne Carnival than Sydney. Hard to bag the winner. She sat 3 wide on a limb all the way, 3 and 4 wide. So only one I could find to follow would be Colette.
Yep. Mark Rhoden, I've marked Probabeel $5.80. Haven't bet because I was terrified I was going to land 3 wide, no cover, and it still won. Am I a nit for not backing her?
No, I wouldn't say that. I priced longer than that. I missed it completely because of the map. Mind you, the map I had and what transpired were 2 vastly different things.
Yeah.
I can see B. McDougall going up and leading by 4, enjoying his day riding in the Group 1. That did change it. I thought, and I know you did too, I thought Wild Planet was going to be up 2nd or 3rd in a pretty soft place, and it was out of play after 2 furlongs. Rock got a long way back. I liked it as well. And then Barrier 1 did no favours for Star of the Sea. I'm like Mark, Colette was the one. It's the one I'd really circled out of the race, but it'll be off to Melbourne for sure. They'll just find the right target for her. She's not good enough to win Group 1 against Open Class, I don't think. But there is plenty of low-hanging fruit in Melbourne at this time of year, and they will find the right race for her, I'm sure. But yeah, the biggest thing about the race for me was just how it was run, how differently it was run to how I anticipated.
Yep, absolutely. I think if you had Nicanova leading, you'd probably won the meat raffle and every other lotto for the weekend, surely.
Just a point on Star of the Sea. I didn't like it on the weekend. She didn't. She just looked like that Today or Never Wallace. I think she's come to the end of it, but we'll see.
Yep.
Okay. Race 8 was the Metro up over 2,400. They've gone slow here, 3.5 lengths slow to the 600, but often is the case with these staying races. It tends to be completely random in terms of the early race speed. Rob, you had something on Mirage Dancer here. Just run us through how it paraded. It would have been the first time you would have seen it potentially.
Yeah, I think that's right. I know this stable that they get their horses pretty fit. They had a good one a couple of years ago, which was in the which I had a good win on in the brown colours. But someone else will think of that. But yeah, I thought it was well. I had this bloody shithouse Zabrowski on top. It was really blooming in the coat. It come on really well from its previous run. I thought 50 kilos, surely it's up to its right. So that was the main play in the race. Then I had Mugger 2 second pick, which I was risking at the price. Then we had Mirage Dancer 3rd, and old boyfriend Brigham Rocks. He was in there. Got out to his right price, so I had spec'd him. And Tuesday's Girl, which Girl Tuesday, Bossy's taken matters into his own hands there. I guess that's okay. She paraded like as best as I can see her. She's usually a real kind of sweater, but she had plenty of good condition on her, and she didn't sweat. So I thought I had something, even though I'm sworn off Glenn Boss. I just thought maybe he'd be in the zone for this big day. Not much else here. We've got continued to parade well. If he can find a wet track somewhere, he could, maybe that Tats Cup, if it, reduce some rain in Sydney. It hasn't rained for a month, so maybe he can go well. Hush Rider looked well again. I think he was just off the numbers with a, kind of a, wary of or hard to beat. He looked well. He can get a bit flighty as well, but yeah, he got something out of it. So that's the main thing.
Mark Shean, your thoughts on the Metropolitan overall?
Just a messy race. They pulled up to walk the stages of the race. A lot of horses trapped wide there, going out of the straight the first time, and they couldn't get into a position, started pulling. I thought Pass of Glory was certainly the run of the race for mine, going right back, change of tactics, and tacked for the lead at Newcastle most of the way, and then ridden right back, and the tempo was totally against it, and had a checkered passage. So it's the one to follow out of the race for me.
Mark Rhoden, you gave the props to Nash a little bit earlier. You found Mirage Dancer. Just run us through your thoughts leading into the race with that horse.
Yeah, I ended up backing it and Mugger 2, so the run 1 2, which is good. The thinking with Mirage Dancer was dry track 2,400 and Nash on, and the map. I mean, he just lobbed where the map said he would, which was good. But his last run at 2,400 and dry had run 3rd in the Caulfield Cup, so had been ticking over nicely in Melbourne as well. 8-day backup, had run the previous, the Friday night of the week before. They were happy to back him up. just seemed to tick quite a few boxes for me. Mugger 2 I thought had to be top pick. But Mirage Dancer was the value in the race. That was the way I approached it. Interesting that Mirage Dancer, Hush Rider, Angel of Truth have all finished top 4 after, avoiding all that trouble that Mark alluded to in the run. It was a messy race and they missed it. And they've run 3 of the top 4 placings.
Yep. And we'll touch on race 9 because I thought it was an interesting little case study for punters who enjoy going through a horse's form. But this race, won by Theory, they've gone 6.8 lengths slow to the 600. I quite openly backed Hilo for a significant result, and I'm definitely talking through my kick here, but it is 2.9 lengths slower than the horse has ever travelled to the 600. And certainly it did seem to get detached from the rest of the field. It was probably one of those cases of riding to a speed map more than anything. But the market seemed to know throughout the day that a Theory would be given one of the greatest rides, I think, on the day by Rachel King, getting the horse in the early stages from gate 1 off the fence. Yeah. Meanwhile, Hilo just seemed to peak over the concluding stages. It still ran home visually very impressively, but it was 2 lengths inferior to what it did last start over a faster tempo over the last 200 metres. Mark Shean, you were with Hilo as well. What was your thoughts of the race?
Well, I was ripping the ticket up after about 400 metres. They just jogged. I didn't get the speed that I needed. The Burning Crown would just take off and zoom away, but they just walked through the first 400, and it was confetti after a short time that bet on Hilo. But this seems to be a regular occurrence in the last at Randwick. Ice Bath, Priya Dearest is always there's always a hard luck story in a flashing light.
Rob, run a Stewart, a Theory, Hilo, you've sort of had a few comments on both of them over the last couple of months.
Yeah, look, a Theory I just can't catch. Chopper Rescue that day. I've backed it another time, so I sent it out on top. Looked perfect. It has been parading kind of heavy, but running well. So, but I just couldn't jump in at the price. The Hilo, I wanted to follow you in, but it just looked a bit podgy to me. I just thought, maybe next start, I think you can continue to follow him. So I ended up having a spec on Condor each way, who's gotten a miss. I got excited when he found the 1 out, 1 back. He was 900. Anyway, I won't try and justify it. He's retired, but look, there's not much really here. I thought Handle the Truth is going to improve off this run. He'll probably be cherry ripe for his mountain race in a couple of weeks.
Yep. Mark Rhoden, help me out. Am I just purely talking through my kick, or do I have a reason to want to throw a phone out the window?
Which is very unlike you. That's more my go than yours, isn't it? No, I have no light to shed. I'm exactly the same with you. I found Hilo. And as the day went on and the results being what they were, I thought, well, the market's got this wrong, hasn't it? The other one's drawn 1, this one's drawn 8. There should be plenty of speed on. And actually, mid-Arvo, the tightening up in the market, the money came for Hilo, I think, for those factors. And then late on, no, it was all one-way traffic. It was all a Theory. And, what do you know, after 100 yards, the Theory's 2 off, then 3 off from gate 1. Yeah, incredible stuff. And Hilo took no part in the race. No, that's chair through window sort of stuff, I think. Yeah.
Chair.
Right, very good. Horses to follow for the couple of weeks going forward. We've still got a heap of feature races coming up in Sydney. Mark Shean, I'll start with you.
Race 9, number 4, Hilo. I thought Past the Glory was good, but he's going to be hard to place. He'll be in those staying group races. I think we've spoken about the ones that have run well through the day, but I think Hilo and the Lars will certainly be, hopefully in the winner's stall very soon.
Rob Scurry, horse to follow out of the yard.
Yeah, well, look, Hilo for me was a bit pudgy, so I think he's going to improve. A bit like the thing that won in Melbourne in the Phillies race, Thermosphere. She was been fat all prep, and she's finally found a race. So I think that's going to find a race. And I think I said Mallory. I'd like to see that parade again. And obviously it's run second to the Boom horse, so he might not be getting a price, but I think it should be improving off that run.
Yep. And Mark Rhoden for yourself.
Just on figures, I mean, the map's going to be critical, but if Montefilia fronts up in the Spring Champion, I think it's a great chance of knocking off the grey horse. Oh, sorry, Rob. Sorry, should have given a trigger warning before I said that. But I think she is. But that if it's slowly run, that won't be in her favour. Colette, as we mentioned, whatever she targets in Melbourne, I think she's worth keeping an eye on. And I would say not going to get carried away with Libertini in the Everest.
Yeah,
horse not to follow next time out.
Okay, I like it. Thank you to all. To Mark Shean and Mark Rhoden. We'll jump on board on Thursday. Rob, enjoy Newcastle.
Thanks, mate.
But we'll catch up next week.